what is right. Not for me, not for Tony, not for Kane, and not even for Kyron. You need to do it for Kiara. Because she needs to see that you did the right thing to help bring her brother home.
Kyron's biological mother, Desiree Young, and his father, Kyron Horman, plan to hold another news conference in just a few minutes. Kyron's mom made this tearful plea on Tuesday. Listen.
Kyron, we love you and we miss you. We remain here working hard every day to get you home. Please do not be afraid because the police are going to find you.
Reporter Jamie Wilson from KPTV waiting for this news conference to begin. She joins us now on the ground where this is all going down. Jamie, do we know what the parents are going to talk about in a few minutes?
We don't, but for the last couple of weeks, as I'm sure you've seen, they've kind of shied away from the media, but in the last few days and as we've gotten more in touch with them, they're opening up more. They understand how this works, that the more they get their faces out there, the more they keep talking about Kyron and the case, the more interest there is going to be in this story. But we don't know what they're going to say today. They have definitely said no comment when it comes to a lot of questions related specifically to the investigation, specifically to Terry. But as you just played in that clip, they have started making very public pleas to her directly. Kyron's mom looked right in the camera last week and said, Terry, we implore you to cooperate with this investigation. So you can see that Kane, Desiree, and Desiree's husband, Tony, they have formed a united front, standing very far away from Terry now. They have distanced themselves from her, and they are asking her to please cooperate with police.
Gail, South Carolina, your question or thought, ma'am?
Hi, Jane.
Hi.
What could be the connection between Kyron's disappearance and the murder for hire plot? What does or did she have to gain?
Well, Mike Brooks, this is an excellent question. Does one translate to the other? Is there a connect the dots here?
You know, that's a great question, and I think that's one that investigators are still trying to figure out, Jane, because, you know, why she want her husband dead, but then why get rid of you know, little Kyron? To have a fresh start with her new little baby? That's a great question, and I don't know if law enforcement has actually figured that out yet.
And you know, there's an old Greek myth, Jane, where the mother gets back at the father by killing the children. And I'm not saying Terry did it because I don't have any evidence, but this is an old story. If she's angry enough with her husband to try to kill him, or allegedly get a plot going to try to kill him, why wouldn't she want to get rid of his son? This is his son, not hers, remember?
Yeah, well, that many people said the same thing about Andrea Yates. Remember the mother who drowned her 5 children, and they said she was resentful of her husband because he was constantly keeping her pregnant, and she was in a very restricted kind of lifestyle with him, and she ended up drowning her 5 children. Of course, she was also found
severely
not guilty by reason of insanity.
She was severely depressed.
It's interesting to note as well, Midwin Charles, that on this very day that little Kyron disappeared, the stepmom, Terry Horman, was supposed to drive him 110 miles to the halfway point to give him to Desiree, the biological mother, because there was this sort of handoff back and forth of the child, even though the stepmom with his biological father had the boy most of the time. I would think there could be some resentment surrounding that kind of a drive.
Well, there might be resentment going all around. I mean, for all intents and purposes, perhaps they didn't have the best relationship. But I have yet to see the evidence, I mean, solid evidence, that this woman had anything to do with Kyron's disappearance. I know that everyone is just conjecturing and just assuming that this woman is guilty of kidnapping, but where is the evidence? This woman is innocent until proven guilty, and let's not forget that.
She is innocent until proven guilty, but we also do have to look at the new order that came out, which Kane says in his own writing that police have presented him with probable cause that Terry may have some sort of involvement with Kyron's disappearance. So this again, and then the judge, of course, did in fact grant this particular order. So that's just something else to consider.
Paulette, Ontario, your question or thought, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. I think that she might have been on the phone
trying to hire another hitman or something, thinking that Gardner wasn't going to do it. And the little boy might have overheard her and said, I'm going to tell my dad. And then she had to figure a way right quick to stop him from doing that.
Brilliant, brilliant idea. Jamie Wilson, what were your thoughts?
Well, I was just about to say, as one of your guests mentioned, Terry has not been called a person of interest or a suspect yet. In the 5 weeks that I have been covering this case, they haven't mentioned any suspects at all. And today is literally the first day that we have seen something in print.
Right there. Thank you.
To suspicion.
Fantastic panel. Lindsay Lowens.
Again, from Terry having to drive midway to bring Kyron to see his mother. It's not jealousy that Kyron's disappeared. I mean, if Kyron was still around on that Friday, more than likely his dad would have also driven with Terry and Kiara to bring Kyron to his mother. It's not strictly Terry probably had to do that. It probably would have been all of them because it was a long trip. You have a baby in the car who gets restless. You know, it's not an easy thing to travel, say, 2.5 hours because the mother lives 5 hours away, 5 plus. I think it's like 300 miles. So 150 miles with 2 children in the car and then have to turn around and drive another 150 miles back. It would be nice to do that with 2 adults. Ugh.